Growing up, my dad and my grandmother were really big movie fans, so it was always a big part of my childhood, and I was always just kind of transformed to those places. And I think part of what got me there was the sound. I didn't really know it at the time. It kind of took me a while to figure out, but that was one of the things that just struck me of what a cinematic experience was. And the other part was I would just have this really insane curiosity about electronics, and I always had to have the new thing, and I was the first person that had a CD player that of any of my friends, and would bring people over and go, oh my gosh, you need to listen to this. It all kind of came together for me after I got out of high school and started finding out exactly what different people did on films. And like most people, I think you see Hollywood as this place that's almost like a castle that's kind of, you can't get into, you can't get over the moat, and you can't do those things. And I started figuring it out. Well, there's a guy who records the sound on the set, and there's a guy who does the costumes, and there's a guy who does this, and there's a guy who mixes the films. And I think once I realized that and started seeing about the technology and how interested I was in stereo equipment and the technology at the time, that it was starting to read these really interesting articles that Mix Magazine was publishing about sound for film, and picking those up and really finding what I thought was the dream job for me. When I get to come in and work in these recording studios on a day-to-day basis and sit in the middle of it and push all the buttons and make all the lights go red and blue and be able to hear the sounds come out of the speakers, it's like being a kid in a candy store every day. You get to sit in front of all this big thing that looks like the Starship Enterprise, and you know, it's kind of reliving your childhood every day with a little bit more pressure, but it sure is a lot of fun. One of the great things about working in sound and audio is that a lot of people don't understand what we do or how we do it or how it can have an effect on people. They would only really notice it if we took it away. And having done a bunch of horror films, it's really gratifying to know that a lot of times it's kind of us that scares the audience, and it's something you have to, you kind of have to wield gently sometimes because you don't want to make it too loud or too scary, but it's a lot of fun to do that, and that's one of the most enjoyable experiences, is going out and seeing some of the genre horror films that we do and understanding that a lot of the scare has come from what we were able to add. It's a little sick and twisted, but it's a lot of fun to make people cry and wince.
You know, I've always said that it's one thing to get somebody who's good at what they do. Marc's really good at what he does, but he's also a really nice person. And at the end of the day, it's all about the life experience. You go in there and you go, "Ooh, good, I get to see Marc again today." That's an actual fun thing for me. You know, at this stage of my life, I look at, is it a good life experience? So with Marc, it's really good. So I always look forward to it, doing it. And then we just did another picture together, and I'd do all my pictures with him. He's such a really good guy, and he's smart, and he's great at what he does.
I think looking back over my career, I'm really proud of some of the things I've achieved. Winning an Emmy has just been really special. It's one of those things, it was really an amazing experience, and because of how much we put into our work and how much we sacrifice in our personal lives, it's been a really great experience, and one that I hope a lot of people get to go through in their lives. It's really nice to have some validation for your work.